Hi everyone, happy Friday. Welcome to a summary of global job market trends May 2022. My name is Sandra Bichl and I'm representing Career Angels today. For those who know me personally or know Career Angels, you know that we are a career consulting boutique. And one of the things that we are asked regularly, have been asked regularly, and will be asked in the future is it a good moment to find a new job? Should I be changing right now? How easy is it to find candidates? And in order to be able to answer those questions, not only from a qualitative perspective of the feelings we have, we wanted to understand what kind of quantitative measures will help us answer those questions in a much more objective way. So, 26 months ago, we started tracking several important KPIs. We wanted to understand the market signals. We wanted to understand how is the demand for candidates changing, how are the unemployment rates, so supply and demand on the job market basically. Over the last 26 months, we have gathered 7,476 data points. We have collected over 400 insights from executive HR directors and executive search consultants. We have published 85 monthly reports, 439 daily updates, and 13 special reports. And we have been tracking 80 countries around the world. Why do we do that? Because in order to be good career consultants, we need to understand how the job markets are actually functioning. So one of the KPIs we track are unemployment levels, but we also look at the number of published job ads on LinkedIn. In a lot of countries, LinkedIn is the leading job portal, which relatively, if not very well, represents the demand for candidates in the given countries. So let's have a look at the data. And if after today you want to have a look at current and past data, you can go on to slideshare.net/careerangels, where you will find not only the market signals report, but also other materials. We have a dedicated page on LinkedIn called Market Signals, where you will find daily tickers and information on various countries across the world. So supply and demand from an employer's perspective, it will tell you what kind of approach to use when sourcing candidates and when negotiating salary packages. On the other hand, if you're a candidate, understanding your job market will allow you to translate it into job search efforts, meaning how much time will you most probably need to find a job, and how much can you push in salary negotiations on the other hand, and how much time you need to invest, not only in terms of period, but also in hours per week into your job search. Today, we're streaming on 3 platforms, YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn. If at any point you have questions or would like to comment, please do so, and will react accordingly. So let's have a look at the global reach. Globally, we track 3 regions: Europe, Africa, top 10 countries in Africa, and 22 countries in the Americas. And as you can see, the curves talk for themselves. Africa and Europe, a plus. The Americas have seen a big dip in May in the number of published job ads, but also a big dip, but in consequence, also a big increase. For those who like data, once you download the slides, you can see very specifically the changes from plus 4.91%, minus 24, minus 0.07, plus 3, minus 3. So you really can see the fluctuations in those 3 global regions. Also here, an overview of selected countries in the EU, just to compare and see what's been happening. Austria plus 2.37%, Belgium minus 19.70%, France minus 19%, Germany minus 18%, Italy minus 22%, Netherlands plus 14%, Poland plus 1.84%, Portugal plus 5%, Spain plus 6%, Switzerland plus 1.21%. So there's been lots happening in Europe, but overall, 38 countries across Europe have seen a decrease in demands for candidates in the course of May of minus 10.13%. More precisely, on the slides in our materials, you will find all the countries listed ranked by percent of increase or decrease. So from the bigger economies, Netherlands, 14% doesn't sound much, but it means almost 50,000 new job ads. We have also Spain, 6% doesn't sound much, but it's almost 100,000 new job ads. 5% in Portugal, that's another 1,500 new job ads on LinkedIn. So if you want to know how your job market is doing, you can find it on the list here. In May, there were only 5 countries who've seen a decrease in the number of job ads. Germany, 18% means losing almost 200,000 job ads on the German market. In Belgium, the same percentage means minus almost 23,000 job ads. France, 20% means minus 150,000 job ads. So if you are a candidate in Bosnia and Herzegovina, Germany, Belgium, France, Italy, there has been less demand for candidates on LinkedIn. In a global perspective, this is definitely for those who like numbers and like to spend a couple of minutes interpreting numbers on a slide. What you can see, let me walk you through that. We have on the very left, we have the geographical region. So Europe, 38 countries, top 20, meaning the top 20 economies worldwide, Americas, 22 countries, Africa, the top 10, the 10 biggest economies in Africa, and then separately US, UK, and Germany. We started tracking one part of the countries in week 15 of 2020, so early pandemic. We added some more in week 18 of 2020. And then after the summer, we decided to track all 80 countries that are most relevant to our community. So since after the summer of 2020, we have been collecting data across those 80 countries. And you can see the changes. For example, if we have Europe, 4.6 million job ads after the summer 2020, and now we are at 2.9 million. So overall, the job market in Europe has shrunk in those last months, 1.5, almost 2 years. Top 20 economies worldwide, 11.6 after the summer 2020. Now we are at 13.7. So overall, there's more. Americas, 5 million after the summer of 2020. Now we are at 8 million. So that's a big increase. Africa, they went from 200, those 10 countries went from 200, almost 216,000 job ads to a meager 63,000. So yes, on the one hand, there's been an increase in the number of job ads in Africa for May. But overall, look at the difference. Look how much has changed in those job markets. If you are a candidate looking for a job in Africa and the 10 biggest economies, you'll have quite a challenge. There's a comment, a question, will we receive the presentation? Yes, you will have access to the recording, and you can also find the presentation on SlideShare. So everything is immediately available to everybody, and we'll publish it with a commentary for those who don't like watching videos next week. Okay, then in the US, you can see we went from 4.4 million to 6.8 million in a year and 9 months. UK, 0.8 million to 0.8 million. So here it's more or less the same with fluctuations. Germany, which is probably the most important job market in Europe, went from 1.7 million to 1.4 to 1.8 to 1.4 to 0.8. So being a candidate in Germany is, again, not an easy undertaking. It takes much more of an effort to currently find a job there. So what does that now mean from an employer's perspective? If you are in HR, recruitment, talent acquisition, headhunting, it does make sense to look at supply and demand, meaning understand the unemployment rates, have the unemployment rates gone up or down, and how many companies are looking for relatively the same pool of candidates. And then depending on those results, you can argue that the post and pray approach is more than enough and we don't need additional budgets, or you'll have to activate additional active sourcing using social media like LinkedIn, or you will have to be even a little bit more aggressive and hire a recruitment agency. And in parallel, make sure that your employer branding is in line with the talent that you need to attract into your organization. So depending on supply and demand in your local country, you have different options. Different options mean different budgets, obviously. Okay. When we look at both perspectives, understanding supply and demand overall tells you how much of an effort you need to put into job search or candidate search. Job search or candidate search. But what has been true since 2016, the job market, because of technology, has changed a lot. So yes, you need to understand your local market, but on top of that, things has changed due to technology. So overall, it does take 2 to 4 times more of an effort to find what it is that you're looking for. From the candidate perspective, again, depending on how competitive your market is, what you need to do is set a precise career/job search goal. And one thing, a tip that I have for everybody, if you don't know how competitive it is, we call that the LinkedIn test. Go onto LinkedIn and see how many people have the same or similar role to yours. And this is potentially the people that you will be competing against. If it's relevant, within the filters, you can also select the industry. But usually you will see that in most cases, you'll be competing against 1 to 5,000 people. So setting a precise career and job search goal is very important. The bigger the competitive candidate pool is, the more you need to think about how you position yourself. So candidate branding. You need to have 2 CVs, one for the human target group, one for the applicant tracking systems, and I'll mention more in a second. You also need to make sure to have your LinkedIn profile prepared for the human who clicks on it and reads it, but also for the algorithm, so that you even have a chance to be clicked on. So make sure that your LinkedIn profile is optimized for the algorithm. And in order to land interviews, you need to generate that interest through using all 4 job search channels. In other words, summarizing, make sure you have a good goal, a clear, precise goal. You know your unique selling proposition. You know your potential business added value. You have your documents ready, including your LinkedIn profile for both target groups, the human and the various bots and softwares. And then once you have that, you go out and generate interest. If you want to know more about that, you'll find that on our website under Career Angels B2C/job search. Now, I've mentioned CV for humans versus CV for ATS. Applicant tracking systems are softwares that store information about candidates. Now, what's important to know, every applicant tracking system, every software has a different level of technological advancement and has different modules and functionality. In more and more cases, especially if you apply to international corporations, you will find that 99% of them will already be using applicant tracking systems, and 60 to 70% of job ads for experienced managers and executives are also handled through applicant tracking systems. Now, applicant tracking systems in those more advanced versions compare your CV to the job description, and by comparing, it looks for exact keyword matches. So what you want to achieve is to have a CV that is easily legible by softwares. And how to get there, you can find that information in our CV ATS guide. And you want to make sure that it's easily legible, and then that you have the right keywords. So if you want to know whether your CV is compliant with the majority of applicant tracking systems, feel free to get in touch with us by email, subject ATS compliance report, and we'll let you know the likelihood of being of your CV being read by those softwares. Now, if you're actively looking for a job, feel free to also book a free career consultation with us. Those career consultations take 20 to 30 minutes, are completely free of charge, no strings attached. Again, we're streaming on 3 platforms: YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn. So if you have any questions or comments, that's now a good moment to ask them, because I'm slowly wrapping up. In the meantime, for those who need some time to formulate a question, if you're actively looking for a job, join the Hidden Job Market group on LinkedIn to find the best job ad gems for executives. The Hidden Job Market group right now has seen 9,692 handpicked job ad gems, out of which we found 800 fully remote opportunities for experienced managers and executives. We have posted 251 weekly reports so far, and the group has over 6,000 closed group members. And we make sure that the group members are really experienced managers and executives. I have already mentioned the remote edition. So not only do we have our regular posts, but we have a dedicated remote edition that is published on a separate day. At this point, I'll also mention, for those who are in HR and think, oh, career consulting sounds maybe like a good idea, we will run 2 career consultant courses, short courses this summer, for those who want to get a feeling for whether this is something that could be for you or not. The English edition is September 6, 8, 13, and 15. The Polish edition in Polish is on August 2, 3, 9, and 10. And all the information, you can find it under the link that we've just posted. For those who are more in a DIY kind of vibe, we've also prepared and produced a job search course on Udemy that you can do in your own time. I'll also mention that we have a dedicated YouTube channel for those who enjoy video content. And I think that's about it. If there are no questions, if you like what we're doing, if you find our content valuable, we've put together a list of how to thank us, what kind of, what to follow, where to click, what to subscribe to. I also understand that this is a live session. Not everybody feels comfortable asking questions in a live session setting. So feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn or by email, and I'm more than happy to answer your questions. So thank you very much for joining. I wish you a very good weekend, and I'll see you in a month when I'll be summarizing June. Have a good weekend. Bye. Oh, there is actually one more comment. Thanks for sharing the numbers. They're impressive, unfortunately negatively, with decreasing numbers of job ads. What is the explanation for this decreasing trend of job ads? Good question. Thank you. I'm happy that I didn't click and broadcast immediately. And there's a second question. Fantastic. So first I'll answer Erica's question. Impressive, unfortunately negative. Well, we only have, there are 2 sides of it, because the overall trend before COVID and now, yes, some have been negative, but overall, the tendencies are positive. In the European Union, you only have 5 countries that have seen a decrease, as opposed to 33 countries that have seen an increase in the number of job ads. Now, one thing that we didn't add today, because the numbers are not out yet, when you look at Eurostat unemployment levels, they're reported with a delay of 1 to 3 months, depending on the country. So a decrease in demand for candidates, if that is parallel to a decrease in unemployment levels, that's actually good, because it means it's competitive. The people who had to be hired are hired. Everybody is productive. So that's why I say you need to double check at your country level, because if unemployment is up and demand is down, then there's an actual problem, and then you have to look and see what's happening. Is it new government regulations, lack of government support, etc., etc.? So there is no easy answer to that, because it's really country by country, and you need to take into consideration the unemployment rates that are unfortunately published with a delay of 1 to 3 months. Thank you, Jose, for the comments. There's one more question. Let me put that up. Hold on. There you go. What are challenges to get hired candidates from different countries looking for work permit? Oh, okay. So what are the challenges to be hired as a candidate from a different country? Very good question. I want to say, I assume that this is for Europe, but actually doesn't matter if it's a European country or not. Once you understand the mechanics and dynamics of the market that you are applying in, the better conditions for the candidates in the countries, the more difficult it is for, let's call it, outside candidates, because you're basically competing against competent local candidates that usually already speak the language and are on site. So the challenge here is to not be perceived as an outside candidate, but already inside. To give you an easy, quick fix, if you are in country A and you're looking for a job in country B, and you have friends and family in country B, ask them to set up a local telephone number, ask them to borrow their local address, so an employer doesn't feel that, oh, I need to relocate that person, which would actually already mean this could be a potentially good candidate. We want to hire them and relocate them. But even before that thinking process starts, it might even be that if country A and B, if there is no obvious relationship between you from country A and the country B that you want to move to, they might actually think that you've applied by mistake, and they might not even take your candidacy seriously. Yes, especially in European countries, but I would say that this dynamic between countries would have happened almost anywhere in the world. So the challenge is to be seen and perceived as an almost local candidate. And I'm happy, actually, Maulik, you gave me an idea. I think we should have a dedicated webinar about how to find a job if you're not on the local job market, because this is a whole different story, and I could talk for at least 1 more hour. So if you're interested in that, get in touch with me. I promise that I'll set up a webinar like that. Fantastic. Thank you so much for your questions. Wishing you an amazing weekend, and I'll see you latest in 1 month when summarizing June. Thank you so much. Bye.